Hello and welcome to t.w.i.c. I'm Cody. I'll be one of your co-hosts today.
And I'm LeNora. I'll be your other co-host today.
t.w.i.c. stands for This Week in Childfree, and we basically talk about any recent articles, events, and happenings in and around the child-free community. If you'd like to submit something you see for a future episode of t.w.i.c., send us an email to childfreemedia@gmail.com and put t.w.i.c, t.w.i.c in the subject line, and we will take a look, and hopefully that article will make it into a future episode. But before we start, a quick shout out to StreamYard for providing this streaming platform for us to enjoy and share this episode with, and to Childfree Wealth, financial planning that supports your life without kids. For more information, please visit childfreewealth.com. And so with that said, as of right now, we are live. We will archive this in the future, and it won't be live, but you can still make comments in the comment area and ask us questions and give your thoughts on the articles we're going to talk about. So feel free to join us there. So with that being said, let's pull up our first article. This was actually sent in to us to take a look at. It's not really child free, but it's like child free associated because a lot of child free people have pets. And so this is on this is in Mother Jones, motherjones.com. And the heading is Dog Culture Must End.
See, I might like this as a pet-free, child-free person. This is right up my alley. So,
yeah.
Okay. I think, although I haven't read it, so I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either. It says what I mean when I say I hate dogs. And the person in the comments, well, in the note they sent to us, they said after they read the article, they read it again and it replaced the word dog with child or children. And it's like, well, it kind of is like almost the same thing for them. I don't know what their stance is, but let's find out. Abigail Weinberg wrote this article. Basically, it starts out with, when I say that I hate dogs, I don't mean that I hate your dog. I mean that I dislike ill-behaved, get that off the screen. I hate ill-behaved dogs. I mean that I'm actually a little bit scared of them and they can sense my nervousness. And so we tend to not get along. I could see where they could put child into this for a lot of people, and it could make sense for them.
Children bite too. I have a story I need to share about dogs, not children biting, dog biting, part way or at some point during this article. Don't let me
interrupt whenever you want to. That's fine. Okay. And then it goes on to say, I mean that I hate dog culture, the relentless prioritization of dogs over the needs of humans, and the suggestion that anyone who doesn't want their face licked by some oversized mutt is a monster.
That would be me. Especially before I'm about, like, I've just done my makeup or something. No thanks.
It says this issue of our social permissiveness towards dangerous dogs recently came up at work during the tenure. Oh, came up at work. I guess they work at the White House. During his tenure, President Joe Biden has brought 2 violent dogs into the White House, where thousands of people go to work every day. Last month, a conservative watchdog group released records showing that Biden's German Shepherd commander, the dog's name, attacked Secret Service members 10 times between October 22 and January. And in 2021, Major, Biden's other German Shepherd, was exiled to Delaware after his own biting spree. Okay. Let's see.
I'm wondering if our Prime Minister of Canada has dogs. I don't know. They don't. If they do, they don't make the news.
Some kind of pet. Let's see.
His hair counts as a pet, I think, so that works.
I'm gonna skip past this president stuff in the White House dogs. I don't know if that's the tangent this is going on, but I thought they were talking about the culture of like dogs going like on airplanes and into breweries and whatever. Okay. I thought that's where it was going to go. Let's see if it picks up somewhere. It says some will read this and pretend they don't know what I'm talking about. Come on, you've experienced dogs' indiscretions. You've stepped on their poo in the street, and it's not their fault. Behind every misbehaving dog is a human victim of dog culture, an individual whose mind is too warped by dog love to consider the well-being of their fellow humans or the dog itself. In a world of doggy daycare, dog parades, and dog spas, you can really blame Can you really blame some people for starting to believe that their dogs are a little bit better than the rest of us?
Can I just shout out, because I just realized our friend Jen is in the audience. Jen, I didn't tell her that we were going to be talking about this article. So, hi, Jen, and just don't leave, okay? You've come into a bit of a minefield. I can't wait to hear your comments. Okay, Cody, keep going.
Let's see. It says, I think it's the last, no, it's more paragraphs. It says, some of us act like dogs rule the world. Often when I'm out with a friend, strolling down the street or sitting down at a restaurant, a dog walks by and the friend interrupts our conversation to freak out about the dog. They might exclaim, what a cute dog it is, or go up to the owner asking to pet it, initiating a protracted conversation about the animal's age, sex, weight, breed, temperament, and grooming requirements. What I want to say to my friend, but never managed to spit out is, have you never seen a effing dog before? Calm down. Why are you so excited? It's a dog.
Okay, let's pause for a second because I am getting texts from Jen on my phone right now as we're reading this out.
Jen, there's a comment section. Jump in there.
Jen, put it in the comment section because she's like triggered, and she sent me like I'm gonna bleep out some of the words she used, but she's like, talk to the paw. Okay, so pausing. Wow. Pausing for a second. I'm sorry. That's how I meant. I meant to say that, but I realized that's a great pun. Okay, so you and your wife dog sit, dog walk, pet.
Yeah, a lot.
They do all sorts of things. I am pet free. Everyone knows that I'm pet free. No interest in having a pet. Don't hate dogs, but like for me, this kind of conversation is awesome because I mean it's more about I'm not interested in the pet ownership lifestyle. Now you have had a pet. You look after other people's pets. What's your take on this perspective? Like, do you get it? Like
yeah, I can see both sides of it. Having, owned quote unquote or whatever, been the guardian of a number of pets, dogs, cats, ferret, other yeah.
You had a pig?
No, we've watched pigs for other people. Yeah, like a 200-pound pig. It all kind of ties into some of the articles that we see. It's like, where pets are replacing children for some people. And, it's like, should they have kids if they're this hardcore about their dog? Are they just overcompensating? Whatever the conversation of the article might want to lean into. Some people love dogs definitely over the last 10, 15 years. You do see a lot more four-legged friend activity out in society. Even going to a big box retail store, pick any of them. Someone's probably going to be coming in there with a dog or a parakeet on their shoulder. Like, who knows? Like whatever passes as an emotional support animal these days, they pretty much want to bring with them. So yeah, I can see how that could be off-putting to some people who aren't like over excited to see pets, dogs, and may even be afraid of the animal as well, which you do have to give some respect to as well. Some people are terrified of dogs. So if someone walked in with a 8-foot boa constrictor around their neck, would some people run from that? Probably.
Yes. Look, I'm afraid of butterflies and moths and dragonflies. So, I'm not afraid of dogs, but I do want to talk about my dog biting story. And also for people wondering why we're talking about a pet article again, because I think, was it 2022? We had a child free with pets panel for the convention.
We did. Yeah.
And that was really, I'm going to say interesting, not necessarily for me, because it was the last panel of it was a great panel. Don't get me wrong. The subject is not my thing. And it was the last panel of a very long weekend. But we had some very dedicated pet parents. And again, there are people that go, why get so big into pets? It's no different than having kids, which is not true. But you kind of, as a pet-free person within the child-free community, you kind of are, I feel like we're in the minority, especially if we're adamantly pet-free, like we're just not interested. Like there are pet-less, meaning they're currently without a pet, but they want one. And then they're pet-free of like no pets at all. And Jen is having fun in our comment section. Jen is very much a pet dog mom. Is she going to yell at me for saying that? But what? Oh yeah, she said, "My money, my choice." I had to call that one out because I thought that was funny. All right. So I wanted to talk about my being bit by a dog while I was on my walk. I told you about this. When was this? April? Something like that.
It was spring. Yeah.
It was spring, and the bruise and the bite. I still have 2 bite marks on my upper thigh. It didn't break. It broke the skin a tiny bit, but I didn't bleed. But I still have the 2 bite marks, and the bruising is gone. So this is now, the end of September, currently as we're talking. So this happened in spring, and I was out for a walk, and it was a Sunday or something, and I was wearing a long dress, and a couple was walking towards me on the trail, and the dog lunged, and I moved, but not far away enough, and they didn't rein it in enough and grabbed my thigh. And then I basically yanked my dress up to my waist to see what was going on because they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't know." So I stopped, and I could feel, I felt pain. And like I said, I saw bite marks. There was 3 because I still have 2 of them, but no blood. And so put my dress back down, and they could tell I was not happy. And then I kept on walking. I said, I don't know if I'm going to be okay, but I don't see anything that's requiring me to call 911. So I kept on walking, and then didn't go that route for a good month because I was not happy.
Yeah.
And, if anything more had happened with that, I would have done something about it, because for me, and this dog was on a leash, but they were very, I don't know. I've never owned a pet. I've had pets as
do you know the breed of the dog? What kind of dog was it?
See, this is the thing, and I think this is my point. I don't pay attention to dogs. I could not tell you. Thanks to Jen and her chihuahuas, and she's constantly sending me photos of those, I know what a chihuahua looks like. I know what a Sheltie, I could identify a Sheltie because I love Shelties, but I could not tell you anything else, right? So it wasn't a pug. I could kind of, but I couldn't. And that's the thing. I generally don't notice people's dogs. I will notice their shoes and their clothes and their makeup and their hair. But because I don't care, I'm very indifferent to pets, like tattoos. You could have 1,000 tattoos and I probably won't see them because I'm indifferent to it, right? So I am an indifferent person when it comes to animals. I can, there are several friends who send me sparingly photos of their pets, and I grow to appreciate them, So that's the other thing. I was like, I couldn't tell you, but for me, I'm like, look, be responsible. And then there are people that are obsessive with their stuff, but whatever. I mean, I'm obsessive with either the Childfree conversation or shoes or wigs. Actually, I've started to wear them in my day-to-day life now, and it's so much fun.
So if you saw someone walking down the street and they had a crazy, amazing wig on, you'd probably be like, "Where did you get that wig?"
Totally.
Yeah.
But when it comes to their dogs, if it comes to babies, I've carried on a conversation with a woman for a good 10 minutes, did not even notice she was holding an infant. Seriously. I mean, it's because the infant was quiet. Didn't even think. And I forget that there's a leg. So if you're watching this, see, we're probably 30 seconds ahead of the comments. So Jen's just saying, well, not cool. Yes, Jen, it was on a leash. Childfree sister, it was on a leash. Okay, anyway, let's keep going with this article. We've now been talking about it for 300 hours.
Well, just to touch on some of your points just real quick, in the Childfree community, it can seem like, the Childfree spaces are just overrun with people posting pictures of their pets. And it's because, they're vocal about it. They're proud of it. And for lack of a better term, people can dogpile on the comments, and then they start sharing pictures of their pets and so forth and so on. And so that's a good question. If anyone wants to delve into that, what is the statistic of child-free people having pets, basically?
And also, I'm kind of wondering. Sorry, I'm kind of wondering if why the conversation is so big within the child-free community, trying to keep it child-free centric here, is because how people go, oh, do you have kids, and that's kind of their way to bond with people. I'm wondering if within the child-free spaces, people, it's kind of like an easy way to introduce yourself or connect with someone aside from the child-free, that factor. it's like taking it one step further by let's share pet photos if that's the way. I don't know. I never thought about it till now.
Yeah, and it might be a way to maybe engage in that conversation with someone who is a parent if they happen to have a pet as well, and you're like, "Well, tell me about your pet," instead of
Yeah,
the
but even in the
kid, because that's
child-free, like
more.
child-free to child-free, like,
Yeah,
it's kind of a way to develop a further bond by just something that you have in common. Do you have a pet? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, so do I. And then there
yeah.
we go. Right?
Yeah, yeah. It also in like the child free groups, when people want to basically flex on any purchases or trips or things that they
Right.
make, it can make the feeds in the communities look like everybody's just got like
True.
travel time built up and they're going to whatever on a cruise or they're going to Bali or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to Burning Man. Like it can seem that way because it's what the popular topic is at that moment,
Right.
and it's one of those things where, it's for a lot of people, it's easier to maybe share their success stories in a child free group because they can't do it in their own personal
Yeah.
page. So they kind of offload everything there. And then, as far as pets go, like people who don't have pets, like they wouldn't have anything to contribute. Like if you wanted to put something in a group about not having a pet, I mean, there's really no, well, I don't know what you would say. Like it's like today I still don't have a dog. The end.
But
Send.
you
I
know
mean,
what's
it's
really
like
fun? Wow, there's my life right there. I still don't have a pet. Here's my latest wig or whatever.
mm,
But what's interesting though is because how specifically child-free content creators get a lot of flack from the outside world for talking about something they don't have and how
yeah,
it does not make sense to a lot of people. When it comes to within the child-free spaces and when it comes to having pets or not having pets, like I don't introduce myself as a pet-free person and I don't
mm,
create content. I mean, sometimes I do it. I acknowledge and I hear, "Oh, it's nice to meet another pet-free person."
mm.
But in that way, in that regard, I could see it would be kind of weird if we were, I don't know if there's pet-free, child-free groups. But I think
I'm sure there are.
that
I
would
mean,
be a little
yeah,
bit, because all I can see is people just talking about how annoying it is to be in a group of people who only talk about their pets.
their
But for
pets.
me,
Yeah,
that's kind of where I draw the line of I mean, not for anyone else. I wouldn't tell anyone else what to do, but well, there's exceptions to that rule. But I wouldn't I would find it weird if someone was constantly talking about not having pets. Maybe that's hypocritical because people view talking about being child free as a weird thing. However, there's not the stigma of not having a pet as there is towards not having kids, and your rights aren't being taken away in the pet thing. So it's not like it's really not
yeah.
even a comparison. I just, you know, um, and there was something else I was going to say that, but I want to see what else this article says
Sure.
about
Let's see.
if this goes anywhere. I don't think this has anything child free related in it, but
It doesn't. No, this is totally about
it's just about
the
dogs.
dog culture. It goes on to say,
Sponsored by Michael Vick. Oh, that's the
oh
Pet
no.
Haters group. Sorry, no, that's our comment section. Pardon
Oh,
me. Okay.
okay. It goes on to say, I think if I were a dog owner, that I would be annoyed by people stalking me every 2 blocks to fawn over my pet. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. Like dog owners like love when people stop and ask
Yeah.
them about their pets. They love. Well, I can't say for everybody. I would say like 99%. I'm not gonna give it 100%, but I would say most anybody that's walking their dog would not mind if you paid attention to the dog or waved at the
Probably
dog,
not.
or they may
They're
not want you
proud
to
of
pet the
them. I
dog.
imagine they'd be proud of
Well,
them.
but not every dog is suitable to be approached. It might be
Right.
on. It might be training for special
Mm-hmm.
purposes. It could be it could actually be a service animal. So
Right.
yeah, you shouldn't just run up and pet a dog. But generally, if it's someone walking Fido down the street and you're like, oh, can I say hi to your dog? More than likely, they're going to let you do it.
Yeah.
It says, but I'm not a dog owner and I'm unable to comprehend the sense of superiority and entitlement that governs their day to day. Imagine going through a life with a rambunctious dog and insisting that every stranger she attacks, that she's really sweet. Imagine dragging your dog into restaurants with a fake service animal in quotation vest, thereby making it hard for people who actually do need service animals to prove that they're not just pets. And I know that is a big issue in the actual service animal community. I in one of my previous lives as a business owner, like yeah, I had to make sure that animals that came into the establishment were like actually service animals. And it's pretty
Right.
easy to tell. You can't discriminate and you can't ask certain questions, but you can ask what service the animal has been trained to provide. Like
Okay.
that's illegal unless it's
Oh,
changed. You can't legally ask that. And like one of the responses I got is like, well, this it's like that my daughter just wants to have her dog with her. I'm like, well, then the dog can't come. That's not a service
right.
animal. It can cause a distraction. It could cause all kinds of
Yeah.
other issues. It could distract another service dog. So it's like that's
Right.
why you can't bring non-service
Yeah.
dogs around service dog. Whatever.
So
That's
so
a
Childfree Sister does not agree with anything that the author of this article is saying. Just for those who are listening in podcast form. All right. Duly noted.
okay. All right. Well, let's go into the next topic
Okay,
here.
which has actually been sent to us by Childfree Sister. So here we go. I told her we were going
All
to
right.
talk about this article, which I haven't
So this
read
one
yet.
is from whattoexpect.com to give you an idea. And it says, is that the title? Okay, here we go. The title is, as a mom, I still need my child-free friends as my anchor.
Ooh,
And this
no,
is by,
that's strongly worded as your anchor.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm
This is
curious to see what
by
this is.
Nina Weirman.
Weirman. Yeah.
Let's go with that. It says, sure, babies change our relationship with our child-free friends, but that doesn't mean that we need them any less. And thank you, Nina, for using child-free correctly.
Yes, no
It was spelled
spaces, no
correctly.
dashes. Yeah.
I
And not saying
appreciate that.
childless. Not that we have anything against
Yes,
childless,
yeah.
but childless and child-free are two different things.
Keep the articles consistent.
Yes.
Okay, so it says, I'm not the same person I was before having kids, but she is still a part of me, buried somewhere deep under snack time, stained leggings, and a messy bun. A messy bun?
Look, child-free people can have snack time, stained leggings, and a messy bun too. Just
That's true.
putting that out there.
That's why my child-free friends are so important to me now as a mom. They act as my tether to who I once was and help me remember I am a whole person outside of my kids. Let's just pause there for a second. And I mean that, yeah, we've kind of had that conversation before of how parents and child-free people, there should be like an allyship there in some degrees.
sure.
This article right there in that first paragraph just kind of says it. It's like, this is kind of who you were. It doesn't mean that's who you're always going to be, but it to kind of have people there to let you basically get some adult time and
Right.
to hang out with child-free friends. Like I can only imagine you're inundated with the kid like all the time. So to get that break and to hang out with someone to just not have another person talk about their kids. And then it becomes like what I've witnessed is like basically a competition of whose kid is doing the most of whatever the topic is at the time.
Right.
So I can see that. What do you think?
Well, it again brings me back to this last year's convention where we had two parents. We had a live panel with Des, and who was very forthcoming in her experience. And then also during the halftime show, we had Teresa, who has a podcast, and she at 48 had her first child, who's now 1 year old. And she and our topic of that conversation was, navigating friendships when one has a child. And it was really enlightening how, from her perspective, energy wise, time wise, she's like, there is definitely a shift in the friendships, as because she always wanted kids but didn't have her first till 48 for a variety of reasons. So she's largely been without children, and she so just that shift, she was really open with that, but also too the importance for her to maintain friendships with those that didn't have kids, and how they are still important, and that was really good. Like I liked her at like her realistic approach to it,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I have found, and I've said this before, there have been times where I realize the older the child gets, that's when I notice the distance starts, because when they're very young, they're basically, they're stationary. So, you're not driving them to 500 million events. So, yeah, it's a good topic, and another constant topic within the community about that mourning period when you find out a close friend or family member is pregnant and or expecting, and then you're like, okay, well, it's been nice knowing you. That's like the first feeling for a lot of us feel, Whether
Mhm.
that pans out that way or not, different as another story. But you know, I don't like this is a topic I think that definitely needs to be talked about more in a mainstream way. And I think this is one of the few ways in that child free can hit mainstream or mainstream adjacent, where people will go, oh yeah, like they'll think about it for a second instead of,
Yeah.
because this is one of the few ways that I've seen so far where it's not pitted one against the other,
Yeah. Well, and this is a very
right?
very personal one-on-one experience.
Yes.
Like again, this person is a parent and they have I haven't read the article, but I'm assuming they have close friends that are child free and
Hmm.
they appreciate that friendship. And so yeah, I can see where that makes sense for the article. And like you're saying, kind of to like slide into the mainstream media as like, you know, not all like child free people, are this way or that way.
Right, because the child free wedding articles always are, and they're not even about child free people. It just happens to be like a child free event, which is
Exactly. Yeah.
very different than
Yeah.
actually child free, and that already taints the word, right? So this is
Mhm.
a way of having an open conversation that I think more people can relate to than they realize.
Yeah. It goes on to say, for more than 20 years, Jess and Candace have been by my side. I met Jess in high school, then Candace joined our group in college. Together, the three of us weathered crappy jobs, bad relationships, and utter brokenness. We went to too many music festivals and took a lot of girls' trips and celebrated big life milestones. Even in between those moments, we simply enjoyed each other's company on quiet summer evenings in the yard after work. There were many people.
No.
There
They
were my people. There we go. Learn to read, Cody. There were my people. A place to crash, a chaperone, the one to call if your car wouldn't start or your heart was broken. We've always been able to count on each other. And let's see.
And why, and what was wrong with change? Like, why change that? That was my that was what I was trying to say. That sounds
Yeah,
amazing. Anyway,
yeah.
okay, I'm not even getting that.
Well, I mean,
Not everyone wants to be child free, and that's fine.
yeah.
Jen's gonna
Well,
yell at me for saying that now.
it's a choice, and
It
we
is a
accept
choice.
choices as a child-free person.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Each version of them loves each version of me, and as much as we've changed, we've stayed the same when we're all together. Uh, in growing up, we've each found stability and happiness, but I was the only one who chose to become a mom.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. When my son was just a few weeks old, I joined a mom group for support. I was in the throes of postpartum depression and looking for some kind of hope in the community. I remember later that day texting with Jess and Candace. I described the different mom archetypes I met and speculated which one I was going to become. And these are the archetypes: a homeschool mom, a crunchy mom, not don't know what that is, a mom who's
Granola,
always
like very
okay.
holistic,
Uh,
organic.
a mom who's always in fitness clothes on the way to or from workout class at the Y, and then it goes on, so forth, so on. They listened as I predicted my future self, but this was a transition I had to navigate alone. And for me, that was the scariest time because by accepting my place in the world of parenting, it felt like I was leaving behind the rest of my identity. I was losing my sense of self. And that's something, I'm
Mm,
off the article now, that's something that a lot of child free people do contemplate when they're deciding to lead a child free lifestyle. And it unfortunately is given the term of being selfish. And it's like, well, I
right.
mean, but you know, do you want to turn everything that you have um, worked for or want to work for uh, up in the air, or turn it over, and just completely veer off the path? For some people, yeah, no problem doing that. For others, they don't want to, and I don't think it's fair to call someone selfish because they have a goal or an idea or a dream and they want to follow that.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like I'm trying to think if I ever had a conversation with, like, this is around high school, college days. College, I went to college with people, of course, of all ages, right? So then some were parents, some weren't. But high school, I'm just trying to think. Like the general conversation was, yeah, when we have kids one day, but probably due to our age and we weren't thinking you don't think super in depth. You're just like, I'm gonna do this, and not think anything beyond that. There was never a discussion of, so what if only two of us have kids? Like, it was just this automatic assumption that, our kids would grow up together, or that we'd be in each other's lives, even if one didn't have kids. And I knew I didn't want to have children, but it was never like a conversation I had in depth with my friends at that point, because they all wanted to be moms or dads. So eventually, but my point is that conversation never got to the point of, so how are we going to navigate that? Because, you don't really, when you're 17, you don't really have that conversation.
Yeah.
But even 20s, 30s, now 40s, for me anyway, it's like, I mean, that I think about more, but you don't talk about it, because the minute one of your friends or acquaintances announces they're pregnant, and you've either had plans together or you've hung out in the past, you can't really jump into, so how are we going to navigate this now? It's not like a relationship, like a life partnership or something, or a dating relationship where there's some major changes happening, like, relocation or whatever. It's like, okay, so what are we going to do? We don't really, friendship in general, even if one friend is moving somewhere else, I don't think we have those conversations. It's like, okay, so how do we do this? Because it's almost like a friend is lower rung, and maybe I guess that's standard. I don't know.
I mean, in my opinion, every 4 to 5 years, your life's going to change in some form or fashion, and people are going to move in and out of your life. So that's something that when you're younger, you just don't ever think that. You think you're always going to live in the same town or near your friends or whatever, and you'll be able to see them whenever you want and that kind of thing. You never think that one day you're going to end up moving to, whatever, Ohio, to be an accountant, like whatever, just making up random job and location.
That sounds like fun. Okay.
Well, I mean, you just don't plan on those kinds of things, really.
I'm thinking more Ohio, but okay, sure. Well, like, where, as a Canadian, where is Ohio? Okay, it's not California. I know that.
It's not New York. It's not California. It's not Florida. Those are
okay. All right, got it.
It's in between all those.
Okay.
But anyway, let's scroll on this a little bit. We kind of see what she's going with. Let's see what the here's the end of the article. Yeah. So let's see. It says, my relationship with Jess and Candace reminds me of that moment in the movie Finding Nemo when Dory is begging Marlin not to leave. And she says, because when I look at you, I can feel it. And I look at you and I'm home. It's pretty easy to forget who you are in the ocean of motherhood, but it helps to have people in your life who can be your anchor. I probably skipped over some stuff in this article, but feel free to go check out whattoexpect.com.
So thank you, Childfree Sister, for sending this to us, by the way. Okay. The anchor thing is, okay, so I've been spending too much time on the internet because I can hear like the trolls yelling, invisible trolls. Like I can totally tell how they would comment to something like this, because there would be those that would look at, what's her name? The author of this article?
Was it Nina? I think it was Nina.
Okay. So the one with the child is like, yes. Oh, you're progressing, you're moving forward, good for you. And then they would label the friends without kids as the anchor, as the ones that are holding you back. They're reminding you of a time you can never get back. They're reminding you of a person that you will never be again. They're reminding you of your past. Let them go, move on. They're not going to support you, blah, 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 blah.
You have evolved, they have not.
Exactly. And that, I mean, and this is the ongoing, I don't want to say battle, but this is the ongoing challenge of getting society to understand, or pronatalists to understand, that, again, everyone's making their choices in life, right? And one is viewed as better because people understand it, and that's the nature of things, and that's, the one where you're procreating. But the people that are choosing not to have children, child-free people, are, I mean, anchor is, it's I get her reasoning for using that word, but it's not to be seen as someone that's keeping you from going somewhere. So the issue I have with that word anchor, because and it is challenging, because it's very few that I can even think in my own personal life where I obviously don't have kids, and my friends who have children, you know, we keep in touch, but it's very rare. I have really developed a network of good child-free friends, and honestly, those are my go-tos now. And just because, I mean, I understand that there's a compatibility that's really, really evident, and I'm like, wow, I resonate with that a lot more. But that's not to say that you can't live your life and navigate life where your best friends are parents and you're not. I just don't like it, the assumption of like, or even the implication of like, well, they're gonna hold you back, or they're gonna anchor just everything that anchor represents. But I do like this article because it's positive, and again, it's a way of making, of showcasing and highlighting the benefit of child-free friendship, maintaining your child-free friendships. And again, that conversation we had with Teresa and even with Des at this year's convention, you know, it's, we need to see more stories like this, how you can coexist and why it's important. And also it is fun being aunt to your friends' kids because they're always excited to see you if they're good kids and you want to see them, you know. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Well, and there's something to be said in that too. Like this person's friends, they to some degree, I don't, again, we didn't read the whole article, but I would imagine they enjoy being around her kids and playing with them or whatever it might be. And to be fair, there are child-free people who want nothing to do with children at any level. They're like, see it at 20 or 21 when you can drink, depending on where you live and what part of the world. But it's like, you know, see when you're an adult, basically. I'll talk to you then.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too. I mean, of course, like you said, you know, your life changes every 5 years, and your social circle can change. And there is, you know, even if you're because I'm experiencing this where I'm in a phase where my best friend from high school, we haven't kept in touch since the pandemic. Like it's been, we haven't talked. Just she's got 2 kids. She's constantly taxi mom and, you know, all that stuff. And I imagine like 5-6 years down the road, we'll reconnect, have a great time, catch up. How's your life been the last few, you know, decade, whatever, because she will potentially have some more freedom just to talk one-on-one. Right. So yeah, but it is tricky. And as the years progress, I imagine there's going to be more dialogue and more, I don't want to say support, but they're definitely
well, that could be part of it. Like
how to navigate friendships. There's going to be more resources, I'm going to say, on how to navigate that for both parties.
Yeah.
Because as more child-free people are going to exist, you know, like I think it's going to be more of a topic going forward, honestly.
I think so. And I think that it more articles like this or similar articles will maybe be more prevalent in the future when more people are empty nesters. And they are, like you just said, like maybe they're able to reach out to their old, you know, elementary school, high school, college friends and just, you know, play catch up, because maybe it's a misnomer, but the way that some child-free people look at parenting is that you put your life on pause, raise a kid, your identity, it kind of melds away. And so when the kid moves out and you're an empty nester, you're like, okay, now who am I? what do I like doing now that I have like time back to myself or whatever it may be? And maybe reconnecting with your old friends is a way to maybe remember some things that you enjoy doing. Or if you're, you know, they were your friends back then, maybe they have a certain hobby or something that they enjoy doing and they can introduce you to it, hiking or whatever, skydiving, whatever it is they're doing, knitting, who cares? And you might be like, yeah, you might enjoy that too. And so it's just another way to like tap into your child-free network. And, you know, again, like this person's kind of saying, again, not the anchor term, but to tie back into who you were before the kid, because it's important.
You know, it's funny, again, bring up empty nesters, and there's 2 things. One, I saw a comment on Instagram the other day who said she's now an empty nester and her friends who have younger kids are mad at her because she has all this free time because she's raised her children, and they're pissed off because she's off doing all these things because their kids are much younger and they're raising kids. And also my brother, who's 37, has soon to be 18-year-old and a 13-year-old, and all of his friends, like long I can't even think of the word now. I want to say long-term friends he's had for years since grade school.
Sure.
They're just, their children are young. My brother became a dad at 19, so he's kind of, he's more independent than what they are. And he said that once his friends started to have kids, he already had teenagers. So he's like, I need child-free friends. Like, I need people who don't have kids, because I can't hang out with my friends anymore because they're just starting to have kids. And he was the one with the really young children, being young himself. So he's not, because he has his boys full time. So he's not an empty nester, but his kids are so much older than his friends' kids. And so he's like, it's like you can't win. And I see this more in females than I do in with males, but they all want to have their kids at the same time. I think it's almost like a safety net or security blanket, so then that you're gonna be in your circle, like you're gonna have the same circle.
It's your little pod.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, you can go through the same ups and downs together, and the questionings and all that kind of
stuff. So that makes me think, let's all choose to be child free together and remain together for I don't know. I mean, it doesn't work. It's not the same thing. But yeah, it's just it's interesting. But this is good, and I hope that articles like this give people hope. So, because I know that disappointed feeling when you find out that someone close to you that you spend time with is either having their first kid, even though you knew, because I'm going to be going through this again. I can just see it in the next 5 years. One of my other good friends who wants children plans on having them, and she's 5 years younger than I am. And I've known her since she was born. And I've always known she wanted to be a mom, but she's, mid-30s now. And it's just like, yeah, for me, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I'm just kind of mentally preparing myself for the day she tells me that she's expecting. And, I'll be supportive because she's like my little sister. But, still you're like, oh, and it's not like we see each other. Like she lives in, 3 hours away from me, and we text a lot, but it's not like we see each other. But even still, knowing that, okay, it's a new era, and I'd be happy, but I would still feel that, oh, you are going to have kids. Okay, fine. I'll accept it.
Yeah.
Because it really isn't easy, especially when you know that you're not having kids and you've been through those changes in friendship. Again, I don't know what it's like for a guy, honestly.
I mean, like, I don't know. I've got, one of my oldest friends, like, we're going to go to a football game together. Like, one of his kids likes the Ravens. I'm a Jags fan. The Baltimore Ravens are playing in Jacksonville. So we're literally going to meet up at the game and hang out. He's going to bring his kid. My wife and I are going to go. My brother's going to go. He's going to bring my niece. So it's like, okay. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of is what it is. But
my answer. It's like, we're all going to go watch sports. We're going
to watch sport ball. Here we go. Drink beer. But yeah, for guys,
I just stereotype men. I'm sorry.
A little bit. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it is interesting, and the dynamics are different for everyone, and that's the thing. It's like, unless articles like this come out and hit the touchstones that people are like, okay, I can see that, I can identify with that, I can see that. We need more stuff like this. So kudos to them for putting this out. The next article is a little out there, but stay with me. So asteroid that passes.
Okay.
No, asteroid that passes nearby could hit Earth in the future. NASA says there is a 1 in 2,700 chance that Bennu asteroid could hit Earth by 2182.
Oh,
the good news is
wait.
We won't be here, as in like literally us, but.
I was just going to pull out my calculator. How old will I be?
So everyone who's been hanging on to Childfree Media for the last 160 some odd years, sorry, the asteroid's coming for you. So
I will be impressed if this has been. That's 159 years from now.
I mean, things are going to happen.
I hope that we're still not having this conversation. And I hope, that would be cool if people could view this. And I kind of want to still be alive then, but How old
Well,
am
I'm
I
sure
now?
that
I'm about to be
the
41. I'd be 200 years old, man.
the people on Mars will be listening to Elon Musk's head, and he'll tell them what to think. But
oh, come on. There's been way better people to are archive than him, but okay, whatever.
But I saw this article now, and I just thought of the take of, because people are always like, oh, you know, the environment or like your lineage. Like, well, look, literally an asteroid could just wipe everything out. So
I think I'm going to use that comment the next time someone says that. I'll be like, hey, asteroids burning everybody up. Don't worry about legacy. Okay.
Let's get into it a little bit. It says an asteroid NASA's been tracking for nearly 25 years. That's the thing. Like, we've only been tracking this thing for 25 years. Like, who knows what else is out there? Could impact Earth in the future. A new report reveals. Discovered in 1999. Bennu, it's Bennu. If you want to look that up. The near-Earth asteroid could possibly drift into our planet's orbit and could hit the planet by September 2182. According to a science team. It passes Earth nearly every 6 years and has had 3 close encounters with Earth in 99, 2005, and 2011. There is a 1 in 2,700 chance, or basically 3.7%. Is that, no, it's less than, is that a point? Yeah, so it's 3, like almost 4% of 1%. So it's a super tiny,
oh Lord,
like,
okay,
chance.
Okay.
Like, it's super small. But I mean, again, it's asteroid. So
all right. Well, do you have your life insurance policy in order?
my cryogenically frozen body, all the child-free people in our cryo farm will all
exactly
thaw out in time.
But what good is? Oh wait, I shouldn't say that because then I'm proving Elon Musk's point. What's good is what good is that if we're not going to procreate? Or we could just enjoy. Well, no, I forget it. There'd be no Wi-Fi left. There's
AI will save us.
There's nothing I can say to save myself here because I don't like any scenario. Just let me go.
This is AI's problem.
Yeah,
nothing figured out. Anyway, basically, let's see that. Bennu, if it hit Earth, would release 1,200 megatons of energy, which is 24 times the energy of the most man-made nuclear weapon. Okay, whatever that means. Wow. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs was as powerful as 10 billion atomic bombs. So,
okay, that's a lot. All right.
Experts found evidence in massive chunks of rock. The asteroid was strong enough to trigger wildfires, tsunamis, and blasts of dust in the atmosphere, block out the sun. And that's basically it. But I just seeing this, it kind of, like those bingos. It's like, well, what about your lineage? It's like, well, what about the asteroid? Like,
this really makes you want to wake up in the morning, you know? I mean, jeez.
But I mean, yeah, it whatever. I'm sure some people will be like, the quote unquote child-free movement is because of a future asteroid coming. People say, why bother?
Well,
anyway,
but this actually goes along the line of antinatalism, which again, there's a difference between child-free and antinatalism. We are not one and the same.
Yeah.
Okay, there are going to be antinatalists who are child-free because it makes sense to them, but not all child-free people are antinatalists. You know, I'm pro-choice. I am not going to get mad if you have a child. But honestly, like I personally can't overthink the asteroid or all the potential disasters that are going to happen. Because it's not how I want to live my life. But I do know that, I mean, there are reasons like that, which is why people like, that's the reasoning for being child-free. So it makes me wonder if there was no chance of an asteroid hitting or anything, like life was, well, I don't know. No one's ever
eventually the sun will eventually expand and like absorb the Earth. Like, that's like so far in the future, right. But I mean, Earth will not be here forever.
I always, and now of course I know this is completely false what I'm going to say next, but I'm like, when it comes to climate change stuff, I'm like, I'm in Canada. Look, if I get one less snowfall, I'll be freaking happy about it because I live on the prairies. Our leaves are going and it's going to snow tomorrow probably. So like,
there's a term for that.
Bring on the sun.
I can't remember what it was. Ronnie Dam, if you're out there, she's like a climate change expert.
Yeah.
There's a term for that. They're like back in like the 90s when people are like, man, it's cold. Bring on global warming. Like, they're like, you know, it's kind of like
the term is called Canadian.
The Canadians are like, bring on global warming. Yeah. All right. Next article. So this is biospace.com. How to support working parents without alienating child-free staff. They use a hyphen in child-free, but will probably accept it for what they may say here because
I can plug the LinkedIn Child-Free Professionals group with this, even though we're not super active. It does exist.
All right, this is by Rosemary Scott. Let's see. I'll let you read this article if you want to.
Okay, so I guess I should make this bigger so I can actually read it. I'm not wearing my glasses.
Can I zoom in?
Wow. Okay, that's good. Okay. That's good.
All right.
Support for parents in the workplace is a hotly debated topic in the U.S., especially as American women are having fewer children and waiting longer than previous generations to start having them. This uptick in child-free workers is only exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. The what? Sorry. According to the 2021 survey by CNBC, about 1/4 of older millennials said the pandemic caused them to wait longer to have children, and 19% said it made them decide not to have children at all. Yay! Sorry, I shouldn't be biased about that. But it's good that they thought about it. For the life sciences industry, a diversity and inclusion survey Biospace conducted in March of 2022 showed there was almost an even split between parents and child-free staff. Of the respondents, 53.7% said they have childcare responsibilities, while 46.2% did not. For those who were already parents going into the pandemic, many companies granted additional benefits like extra time off or flexible work hours to care for children at home. In response, many child-free employees, including those at Facebook, Twitter, and Salesforce, told their employers that they feel these additional benefits favor parents and force child-free workers to pick up the slack. One for all, not all for one. As the number of Americans who plan never to have kids grows, employers will be forced to figure out how to support parents at work without alienating their child-free staff, as they should. Barbara Palmer is the founder of Broad Perspective Consulting and Your Fourth Trimester program, which helps parents transition back into the workplace after having a child. She told Biospace that it's time for companies to look beyond the traditional work approach to support working parents. For life science companies, she said, this is especially important as they focus on improving health and should lead by example. It is incumbent for life sciences companies to go beyond standard wellness, mental health, and traditional benefits to walk the talk, Palmer said. While this support often includes measures like additional PTO, so paid time off.
Paid time off. Yeah.
Okay. For parents, or you can tell I don't have many employee jobs. I don't know what some of these terms are. For parents or on-site child care services, Palmer said there are ways to support parents without favoring them. I like that. Ways to support parents without favoring them by extending certain perks to the rest of the staff. For example, companies could offer a wellness stipend which parents could use to supplement their child care costs, but also could be used for other services like gym memberships, ergonomic office equipment, or meal delivery. Pausing for a second, I can already see that being used by parents for those.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like I feel like some parent would ruin that for everybody else. Anyway, because they'll be like, well, it's not enough for me to have that and childcare because I want that and childcare. Anyway, sorry, parents. Another option is a professional development stipend, Palmer says, which could be used for attending conferences, continuing education, or coaching for parents on how to transition back into the workplace. Parents,
or I mean, this on that, like, giving like stipends to do things. Yeah, if you gave a stipend to your staff and said, okay, this can go to like whatever extra child care costs or gym memberships, or like personal development and attending conferences and continuing education, like that would really like benefit the child for people because they probably could go to the conferences and continue education a little bit easier than the parents. So I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Look, I mean, if someone who has a child and is going back into the workplace or whatever, and they want to remain in the workplace, I have no problem with them given perks or them being in an environment where they feel happy to be at work, knowing that they can provide the care for their child and they can still, like, their entire paycheck or whatever is not going towards that. But again, there does need to be equal support so that those of us who don't have kids who are in the workplace and want to invest in ourselves as well, because I see people having kids as they're investing in their future that way. We invest in our future in other ways. So
Yeah.
absolutely, like, because anything less than that, where the parent is getting some sort of benefit because they have kids, even if people aren't, even if that's not the intention, it's still showing that they are preferred over anybody else, and that's not fair, you know.
Well, and like, this is like, again, going back to the article about like the allyship between parents and child free people. This is an instance where child free people can ride the coattails of parents. It's like, you know what? We as child free people should support companies to give, these type of time offs or stipends or whatever for parents, because that opens the door for us to say, and we want something to equal that as well. Otherwise, that is a form of discrimination. It's like, so, to be able to receive additional funds from a company is very hard to negotiate and navigate. So if it's done under the umbrella of it's better for the children and humanity and society, whatever, great. And then we'll take our piece of the pie too. So,
look, and if it's gonna create an environment where your employees are staying, like they're staying, they're happy, they're productive, like there should be an incentive. Maybe that's me being naive to think that way, but yeah.
I just went to the end of the article here to highlight this part.
That's the highlight. Okay. McCain and Palmer agreed that supporting parents in the workplace doesn't have to be polarizing, and Palmer emphasized that supporting the health of employees, especially those in the life sciences, is essential. Allowing employees the autonomy to use benefits, stipends, and time to support what is important to them as an individual reinforces the very purpose of life sciences companies, Palmer said. Prioritizing the holistic health of employees supports their mission and demonstrates that they are living their values. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. That's another good one. I'm really glad to see no wedding articles, unless they're like way down.
I didn't put in any wedding or any dink articles into this. They were out there, and I didn't put them in here on purpose.
But we are approaching the hour mark. Is there
oh gosh.
Is there a really short one?
What's this one?
Boy buys puffer jacket. Oh.
No. Let's see. Hold on. There's so many of them. If you're able to read the topics in the video, let's see. There was one that was short.
Okay.
If I can find it.
I'm not seeing. We've seen those already. Oh, let the night.
Okay.
I just want this.
Okay, so this is from MSN.com. Let the nightmare in Japan be a warning to childless millennials. I can see where they're going with this one, Michael Deacon. It was 2 months ago. Did we get this one already? Like, maybe this is like a rehash.
It doesn't sound familiar. I don't recognize this at all. Okay.
We've talked about this topic before, so we'll kind of breeze through it. It says, according to an alarming new poll, only 55% of people aged 18 to 34 in Britain say they ever want to start a family. Again, that means have kids in this article, not start a family. Family is different, whatever.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, Michael Deacon. I hope you're listening.
Michael. You're welcome to come on our show anytime.
Yeah,
open invitation.
Exactly.
Those who said they never want children gave various reasons, including anxieties about money and the impact on the environment. Asteroids coming, who cares? But most common reasons they gave were as follows. Apparently, they want, quote, more time to focus on myself.
Oh, no. That's such a problem. Okay.
How dare they? Well, if they can manage to focus elsewhere for just a brief moment, they might want to read the latest news from Japan.
Michael, this is so condescending. I don't know if I want to read anymore, but okay.
Figures show that last year, the country's population plummeted by almost 8 million. And it's all because so many young people aren't having children. In 2022, Japan saw a mere 771,000 births. The time The first time the number has fallen below 800,000 since records began all the way back in 1899. The shortage of children spells doom both for Japan's economy and for its public services. The prime minister is extremely worried about, quote, our nation. He declared recently, our nation is on the cusp of whether it can maintain its societal functions.
Well, rethink those societal functions. I mean,
and that's kind of what I'm going to jump to here, because I mean, again, like some of the articles that we've done in the past talk about how hard it is, not just in Japan but all over the place, to have a child and make a living. We keep hearing, the whatever the atomic family structure is fallen by the wayside and blah blah blah. Well, I mean, no one can have a single family income and like to have a bunch of kids. Like, that's not, unless you're super well off. But even then, most of those people are paycheck to paycheck too, because the expenses still keep piling up. So it's like, whatever Japan, like if you're having this problem, we'll look at what can you do to encourage people to not have to work so hard, to literally barely make ends meet. Like,
so I'm laughing because there's a paragraph that I was reading, and I thought that maybe this article is a joke. But I don't think it is, just because of the paragraph that follows. But there's that middle one talking about aging detectives, and there's a line that says their crime dramas must feature the world's slowest car chases, except writing about elderly sleuths. He writes about elderly crime ring. I don't.
Oh wait! Oh, here we go. It says,
I don't really know.
Here's a paragraph. It's not just politicians who are panicking about Japan's low birth rate, though. Even its criminals face a bleak future.
There we go. That's why.
Did the Onion write this? The Onion's a satire.
That's what I was wondering.
So, like the country's business, its gangs are struggling to recruit fresh young talent.
I never thought about that.
As a result, there are now said to be more Japanese gangsters in their 70s than in their 20s. In theory, this should at least make them easier to catch. Okay.
There we go. Okay, so now I can read that paragraph. Makes more sense. So unfortunately, however, Japan's I can't read this anymore. Japan's detectives are aging too. Yeah, okay. Their crime dramas must feature the world's slowest car chases. Oh my god. Okay. Well, hey. But that still feeds into it's too expensive to live, so people got to go to crime.
Well, I mean, it plays into the whole, like, we need more people to sustain society. Who's going to take care of the elderly people if we don't have young people? Blah 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 blah. Right. I mean, but again, like, we're not looking at what the problem is now. They're wanting to be like, well, this is the problem of the future coming our way. It's like, but we have problems now. Like, this is all happening for a reason. Whether it's climate change or just someone not wanting to have kids, or literally someone not being able to afford kids, and so they choose not to have kids for that reason. So
I mean, at least we have an end goal, 2182-ish. Like, we're just gonna slowly weed out humanity, and not, I don't mean we as in child-free people, but humanity's just gonna slowly weed itself out, and that'll just save a lot of, well, I was going to say funeral costs in 2182, but it's going to wipe everybody out, so it doesn't matter.
Cremation for everyone. Here we go.
I don't want to be cremated. Well, I'll be, if I'm alive, I'll be 200 years old at the time of that happening. So
it could happen.
I wonder what color wig I'll have then. All right. Well, I think that's a good note.
Yeah, we'll end on that one.
Oh my God, that's funny. Okay.
LeNora, how can people find us?
Well, if this is 2182, don't bother. But until then, if you have any comments, concerns about this show, or just general inquiries, you can email us at childfreemedia@gmail.com. You can also check out our website, childfreemedia.com, and subscribe to our usually weekly newsletter, which you will get the latest episodes of Child Free Podcasts and our lovely network, not just on the Child Free Media Network, but on other platforms as well. We are all over social media, for the most part, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Childfree Media. And of course, if you are watching this right now, you can find us in podcast form. If you're already listening to us on podcast form, thank you. And if you're on Spotify or Apple, please leave us a 5-star review. And if you have a chance to comment, just say how much you
or
love
whatever
all
platform.
of whatever platform. But I think
Yeah.
Spotify and Apple, I know give the ratings the most. So those are options for you.
All right. And if you are a child-free content creator and you want to be promoted for free in our newsletter, just let us know when you put out new episodes and we will be happy to promote you.
And thank you to our lovely live chat audience for entertaining us as well.
So with that being said, thank you, everyone. That will conclude this episode of t.w.i.c. We'll see you next time.
Bye.